Hey, this is Lou Mangello from WDW Radio, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Let's do this.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 353 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast, and I wasn't sure exactly what would be the best way to start this particular episode. But then I found really the best words from Sandra Bullock from the 2010 SAG Awards.
Mm-hmm.
I know that a lot of people find Betty White inspiring. I mean, she's been working as an actor in an industry for more than 6 decades in a business that doesn't exactly value getting older. There's a lot to admire. Me, I find Betty White annoying. I'm sorry, it's true. Betty, you make me feel bad about myself. You make me feel like a slacker. Everyone, to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like a do with the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel back in Indianapolis.
And then Betty's comment about Sandra after she comes up, it was just like, oh my gosh.
She gave as good as she got.
Oh, she did.
She sure did.
She did indeed.
Oh my goodness. So we joked last week, talking about alluding to things in Hawkeye. We're like, well, wait till next week. Well, unfortunately, stuff has happened.
Yeah, 2021 had to get one last dig in at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
Although we think Dame Betty, and I'm giving it to her. I think she took 2021 out with her.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yes, I've seen all sorts of arguments. Like, she may be dead, but she went out like. She decided she'd had enough and she needed to go talk to the manager. So she was like, that's it. I'm going to heaven so I can talk to God.
Hey, Happy New Year. But I don't think Betty White died. Don't get me wrong. I know she passed. But I don't think... she's too scrappy. I don't think death's allowed to take her without her permission. But I think she's always looking out for us. I think she saw everything we went through in 2020 and 2021. And she grabbed Death by the ear and pulled him close and said, you take me to see God. And Death does it, but he's too nervous to take her because he knows that Betty White is the only person on the planet Earth that could scold God himself. And then she stands before God and goes, I don't think you understand exactly what's going on down there. And God goes, I'm the creator of everything. I am Yahweh. Yeah. All men think they're important. I've worked with the best of them. You gotta fix this. Doesn't that sound more like Betty White, that she went to heaven just to raise all kinds of hell? Can we start a trend as a community, as a TikTok community, that if anything good happens in 2022, we just stop and we go, thanks, Betty White. Thanks, B-dubs. Betty White, we love you and we miss you, but we are proud to have a Betty White-level guardian angel looking out for us. Achievement unlocked.
Yeah, about what's going on down here.
Maybe she's getting some answers for us. Who knows?
Yep. And I love the headcanons that, yes, she had so many leap years. She's 100 already.
100 years and 7 days, I think is what it equals out to.
Yeah.
Yep. 24 leap years. Throughout her
Yes. So I guess we should say, I don't know if we want to call it Happy New Year to our listeners, but it's a new year. It's a new year. So hopefully your
welcome to the new year.
Yeah. Hopefully your celebrations were enjoyable and things. Sorry, we have to have a bit of a downer of an episode, but as we were talking pre-show, we were kind of like, this actually might be okay. This kind of feels a little a bit more celebratory than sad, even though, we'll get into it. But
here in Hollywood, everyone's always on a diet. So I finally figured I'd get on board and sign up for one that delivers every meal right to the door.
Okay, Ms. White, I've got your 3 meals for today. We have 1 case of Chardonnay, 1 triple chocolate cake, and 2 deep dish pizzas.
Perfect. Would you put them back in the pantry?
Of course.
Thank you. You have no idea how we actresses suffer for our figures.
So, just because, we are doing a bit of a retrospective on the now late great Betty White. Yep. There will be some laughs along the way. So don't put the tissues away, but don't cling to them so much.
Yeah.
But,
so we take our usual, we've got feedback and news and stuff, we're going to set that aside so we can devote the entire episode to Betty White, as she is deservedly so. But yeah, it was just New Year's Eve, waking up and seeing she's trending, which she's trended before, and it's you see people tweet or post on Facebook like, "Don't give me a heart attack like that."
Yes, exactly.
Because
we assume it's a worse. So this time when she's trending, it's like, okay, what did she do now?
Right. You see because one of my New Year's video or picture with her from a fan or something. What's going on, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
Because one of my
this is not a false alarm. This is not a test.
One of my older school friends had posted, R.I.P. Betty White, and somebody else responded, cite your source or I'm taking it with a grain of salt. And the first thing that came up was TMZ. And I'm just like, they've been pretty accurate, but then there's been times where they've even been duped. So it's like, until I see like a Variety or somebody else that makes it official.
It started coming through like more quote unquote reputable news sources, like
like
the Post
TMZ,
and the Washington Times. They're like, oh, okay,
TMZ. I mean, they're TMZ, but usually when it's an obituary, they're usually pretty accurate. I don't think they don't think they muck around with that kind of thing.
Yeah, because they have like
only been
connections
wrong
to like
once.
Agents and publicists and stuff. So
and everyone was sitting here going like, no, not Betty White, and then everybody started doing the math, like she was going to be 100 in less than 3 weeks. It's like, really? And I feel like, and I there was a meme I posted that like the memes that have come out of this have been legendary, but one of my favorites is just this guy standing there looking all offended and like he's taking it personal, and it's like, when you realize that Betty White died and she would have been 100 in 3 weeks, you're like, it's like, we've all taken this very personally. Like, how dare you? How dare you take her from us before she turned 100?
Let's make a pact that we'll always take care of each other, that we'll never desert each other no matter what.
You can count on me,
But
honey.
you think it's going to be that easy getting rid of me, Rose? That was rhetorical, Rose. Oh, but what a comforting thought, knowing you'll never be alone.
And listen, what the hell, if we do have to go to a nursing home, let's all go together.
But what happens when there's only one of us left?
Don't worry, I can take care of myself.
Just like Stan Lee and Leonard Nimoy were the honorary grandfathers, Betty was the honorary grandma.
Yes, exactly. And like last night, because Golden Girls is on Hulu, and I pulled it up, and it's like the first thing you see is remembering Betty White, and they have Golden Girls, and so I pulled it up. I hadn't seen Golden Girls in years, probably since I was a little kid. And it was on before I knew what any of those jokes meant, but I let
and then what they got away with too at the time.
I mean, I watched like three of the first 3 episodes, and I was just laughing, and I made the mistake of eating potato chips while I was watching. And I inhaled one, and it was a little touch and go there, but I was fine. But I was just like, I should know better. But honestly, I haven't laughed so hard in so long. I don't know if that's just because I ain't been watching the right stuff, or it's just kind of been, what the last couple of years have been. I do not remember laughing so hard, and I was dying of laughter, and I think...
All right, I have had it. Thanks to all this constant bickering, I have a splitting headache.
Oh, girls, let's face facts. The three of us just can't agree on anything. I mean, it is obvious we were not meant to live together.
I hate to agree with you, but I think you're right.
I think so, too. In fact, I know so. This is exactly what happened during the Great Herring War.
The Great Herring War?
Yes, between the Lindstroms and the Johanssons.
Oh, that Great Herring War.
The two families control the most fertile herring waters off the coast of Norway, so naturally it seemed like it would be in their best interest to band together. Oh, boy, was that a mistake. You see, they couldn't agree on what to do with the herring.
Oh, well, that's understandable. I mean, the possibilities are overwhelming.
Exactly. The Johanssons wanted to pickle the herring, and the Lindstroms wanted to train him for the circus.
I mean, beyond choking on potato chips, I think Lottie was getting a bit concerned about me. And then later, I was kind of...
Mama, you okay?
Yeah. But I was looking up some stuff later, and there was a quote from Betty White, like someone in the last few years asked, like, why is... Because Golden Girls has kind of had this resurgence over in recent years, and someone was asking her, like, why do you think it's so popular with young kid, with the younger generation now? And she just said, 'cause it's funny. And I'm like, yes. I mean, yeah, they tackled some serious topics, but dang it was hilarious. And a lot of it, honestly, reminded me of my grandmother, who, she passed away last year. And I just like, oh my gosh, this is my grandma. Like, so in so many different ways. Like some, the inappropriate comments when she didn't think anyone was listening. The snark, and she was like sweet and a little ditzy too. Like all of those ladies, I'm like, they are all just like my grandma, and it made me miss her.
Yeah, and just the chemistry that all four of them had together. That's lightning in a bottle. You are not gonna get that again.
Well, like I was reading the actress who played Sophia, she was supposed to be just a recurring character, but how well she was received in the pilot, they're like, yeah, we'll make her a regular. She's part of the she's part of the ensemble, which is brilliant.
Imagine it, Sicily. Yeah. Insert ear.
Yeah.
I mean, and out of all the girls, I do have to say Betty White's role is kind of stuck because St. Olaf is in Minnesota, and I'm kind of imagining that St. Olaf is kind of close to the Wisconsin border. So there's that, and then, sure, she, like I was saying before we started recording, she could play ditzy, but she was one smart cookie, and then some of the zingers that she would throw by Blanche, and they would go over Blanche's head. It's just like,
yeah,
she's got some spunk to her.
Oh, yeah. If you like, growing up, I remember because we had Game Show Network, and we watched so many old game shows on reruns, and Match Game was one of my favorites. And she was on Match Game a lot, and I found a couple of those episodes on YouTube, and just, she wasn't like, dropping, one-liners like, Brett Summers or Charles Nelson Riley, but she had a few little, when you weren't expecting, like, oh, she just looks like this sweet little old lady, but then, but then, then she just throws one in there like, oh, I wasn't expecting that from you, but dang!
Now listen, would all of us join together in a very brisk, fast, lively chorus of happy birthday for Betty White, whose birthday is today. Ready? Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Faster. Happy birthday to you. That's enough. Stop, enough. Betty is not 73. right, Betty. How old are you, Betty?
I'm too old.
Okay, listen, many happy returns of the day. You're a lovely lady. We're going to have a long run here, and you're going to be with us to the end.
But yeah, look up Match Game, and it is a blast from the past. It is so good. I don't think they could recreate that magic nowadays, quite frankly. They could
They've tried.
They've tried. They could do the format, but that grouping of celebrities and Gene Rayburn and even the contestants, some of them, just kind of how they mesh together. It's like, nah, that one, you can't go home again.
Nope.
But it's a good one.
And I didn't realize until a couple of days ago that her husband was actually from Mineral Point, Wisconsin.
Oh. So yeah, she knew how to play that.
Luddite. So it's just like, yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see, because I'm not sure if she's going to get buried in California or if she's going to be buried here in Wisconsin. It just all depends, because that's where he's.
She'll be buried next to him.
So.
Yeah, because
I'm thinking so.
I mean, she didn't talk a lot about it, but I do get the feeling like she missed her husband
desperately. Yeah.
Yes. So she's.
He died way too soon. You know, because I mean, they married in 1963, and then he died in 1981 of cancer.
Yeah.
So she's been a widow for 40 years.
Yeah,
that's a long time.
Which makes Rose's lines about Charlie in those earlier episodes
all
the more
she
poignant.
said that she, in her mind, she would just think of Alan. And when Rose needed to be upset over Charlie. So, which she had those few moments. So. So I just binged the Golden Girls like not even 6 months ago. So
I'm sitting here going like, I should just watch the whole thing, and because like I said, I hadn't laughed so hard in so long, and I'm like, I think I need to do this just for my own sake, and to experience a classic TV show all over again.
Yeah.
So like I said, if our listeners, if you haven't watched Golden Girls in a while or ever, it's on Hulu. Pick it up. It's a treat.
Now, Betty, what are we gonna do tonight?
I'm gonna kick some ass.
Yep. The Proposal is awesome with Sandra Bullock and
which I also think
Deadpool.
That I thought I saw somewhere that Golden Palace was also going to go up on Hulu at some point. So
okay,
I wouldn't,
but it's not there yet. Okay. But the Mary Tyler Moore Show is also on Hulu. So
good. I'm not sure if you can find Boston Legal anywhere, but she did a fantastic run as a guest star as James Spader's secretary.
Was that one?
Absolutely.
It's also on Hulu.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I was like, was that one NBC? I remember my mom and dad watching it.
It was ABC.
Oh, ABC. I was like, I couldn't remember.
She bounced around the networks. I think she's been on pretty much every major network.
And then she was in Ally McBeal too.
Yeah, I mean,
that's when I'm gonna have to track
her IMDb is like so long.
Yeah, we could be here all night talking about everything she was in and still not get even a fraction of her CV.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was chuckling. She had a celebrity crush.
Oh,
Robert Redford. He had the biggest crush on him.
Yeah, she made a guest. She made an appearance on Steve Harvey's talk show, and they did kind of a not quite match game, but fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the questions was, the one thing I've never done in Hollywood is, and her answer right away was Robert Redford. So
oh yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She had no filter. She just
Nope.
said the first thing that comes to mind, and just did not care what people thought, and she always
and we loved her.
and
for
she
it.
always was and she used that to her advantage. I mean, she was a trailblazer
Yeah.
in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. I mean, her career started before television was even a thing.
Yes.
She started in radio, and that's where she got the very first iteration of the Betty White show was a radio program. And then she did her first stint on TV in 1939. So this is like almost a decade before TV would become like more common in households.
Yeah, because like only like super rich people had TV at that point.
Yeah,
it just wasn't.
Yeah. This was like
affordable.
months after she graduated high school, and she and a classmate got pulled in to do, essentially an experiment with this new TV thing, where they sung a couple songs, and that was it. And then during World War II, she ended up signing up as a volunteer for the American Women's Voluntary Service. Where she never went overseas. She stayed in Hollywood, but she delivered supplies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And also, helped boost the morale before the guys got shipped overseas.
Yeah, that was just kind of a thing that a lot of actors and actresses, a lot of people in entertainment just did, because it was like, what else can you do at the time?
Yeah, because I mean, she was a pseudo celebrity. She wasn't huge, but she'd been doing a lot of radio and ads and stuff like that.
And now Kodak presents a holiday reminder from Betty White.
This week we'll celebrate the 4th of July. A good day to make the wonderful world of color yours with color snapshots. And you can do it so easily with your own camera, the one you have right now, and Kodacolor film. Kodacolor film comes in all the popular sizes, and believe me, next to the pickles, it's the most important part of the picnic. So when you're out for holiday fun, be sure to take along an extra roll or two of Kodacolor film, so you can capture all the fun and color of your happy family day. With Kodacolor film, you can take color snapshots as easily as black and white. Just aim and snap, and you get beautiful, sparkling color prints. So no matter how you spend your day, save the fun in color. It makes a world of difference. Be ready before the 4th with Kodacolor film in the familiar yellow box. Remember, you can depend on the name Kodak.
And then she got her first, like, proper TV appearance in 49 with a program called Hollywood on Television, which was kind of just a variety show. It was a live variety show.
Mm-hmm.
And that was aired in Los Angeles, and then her co-host Al Jarvis left in 52, so she began hosting it on her own. And this was a live variety show, completely unscripted, that ran for 5.5 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah. And she did that for 4 years.
Woofda.
Yeah. So, but then from that, kind of a pseudo spinoff was Life with Elizabeth, which was a more scripted, but wasn't like a full-on sitcom. It was kind of like what I Love Lucy would become, a bit more. And actually, Life with Elizabeth After she did Life with Elizabeth, she went on to do another series that only lasted a year, but that was filmed actually in the same like building or whatever. It was right next door essentially to the I Love Lucy set, and she became friends with Lucille Ball for like the rest of Lucy's life. So but yeah, while she was doing the Hollywood on Television's when she got her first Emmy nomination. And then 1952, she co-founded Bandy Production, a production company, which was unusual at the time for a woman to be a producer of any sort. And with Life with Elizabeth, actually, she owned the show and was a co-producer, which was very unusual for that time period. And she had like complete creative control over it. So that ran from 52-ish to 55. At the same time, she also got the first TV version of the Betty White Show on NBC. That ran from 52 to 54, which did fairly well up to the point where they decided to expand it nationally. Problem was once they expanded it nationally, the TV stations in the South really did not like the fact that she had a regular African American performer on there as a tap dancer by the name of Arthur Duncan. Because at this point Jim Crow was still a thing. And so the TV stations were like, no, he needs to go, or we're not going to show your program here in the South. And her words were literally, "I'm sorry, live with it."
Good on her.
Yes.
The show eventually got canceled, but she held her ground, so good for her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes your integrity is more important than ratings.
Yep. Yeah. And then in the 60s, she did some guest appearances on some TV shows, like Another World, which is another soap opera, Petticoat Junction, that sort of thing. But really in the 60s is when she started doing game show appearances.
Yes.
Where she did a lot of game shows, because game shows became like a huge thing. Game shows and talk shows. Like you turn on the TV and that's pretty much all there was. So like Jack Parr, Johnny Carson, you know, she did all of the big game shows. What's My Line, Password, $1 Million Password, all the spin-offs of that, To Tell the Truth, Match Game, Pyramid.
Mid,
Yeah. But it was on Password where she met Alan Ludden, who was the host, who would eventually, they would marry in 1963 after he asked her several times over the course of like a year before she finally said yes.
And the little stinker, instead of hiding the ring, he actually wore the engagement ring or the wedding ring he was going to give her around his neck. So she had to see it all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. These guys are adorable.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, they would end up marrying in 63. She would become a stepmom to his 3 kids that he had with his previous wife who had passed away. No, and then they would be married until he died in 1981. And then after that, Betty was like, no, I'm never getting married again. She's like, once you've had the best, why would you try anything else? So yeah, so she remained a widow for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as she was concerned and everybody else was concerned, Alan was the love of her life, and there was nobody else for her. She'd had 2 marriages previously, and both of those did not last very long. The first guy she married was I think through the service, and they moved to like a chicken farm in Ohio, and that was way too laid back for her. He wanted the simple farm life and she did not want it. So that marriage ended in divorce, and then she ended up marrying another guy, and he wanted her to become a housewife and start popping up babies, and she's like, no, I'm not doing that. I have my career. So that marriage ended too. So yeah. But then when she married Alan, she didn't mind becoming a stepmom, but she never wanted kids of her own and never had kids of her own. So she's like, I like animals more than people.
I think we were all her kids and grandkids.
That too.
Because she had even
she
said
definitely
in
likes
an
animals
interview
more than people.
that she didn't regret not having kids.
Oh, no.
To focus on the career and do what she wanted to do.
Her and Dolly Parton are like
philanthropy
my idols when it comes to deciding not to have children. They are both, banners of, you can have a very fulfilling life without having to have kids. Although I'm not quite on Betty's love of hot dogs. Vodka, yes. And animals, 3 out of 4.
Fans of Betty White lining up at an LA institution today to dine on one of the late actress's favorite dishes, Pink's hot dogs on La Brea, selling a lot of their Betty White's naked dogs today. The comedy legend, who died Friday at the age of 99, helped Pink's open up a stand at Universal City Walk about 10 years ago, and with one simple order request, the Betty dog was born.
And she came out there and she ate the hot dog and she says, I don't want anything on it. I just want beef in the bun. And we said, you got it. And we'll call it a naked dog. And she says, well, then you can tell everybody Betty White gets naked at Pink's.
The co-owner of Pink says Betty used to stop by the landmark stand with actress friends before heading to the Hollywood Bowl. For the next week, all proceeds from the Betty White naked dog will go to the LA Zoo, one of Betty's favorite causes.
Not so much on the hot dogs. She loved vodka and
plain
hot dogs.
hot dog. I needed
secrets to long life. You want to live to 99? Don't have kids, because they'll suck the life out of you. Drink lots of vodka, eat lots of hot dogs.
I like hot
laugh
dogs
every day.
I like hot dogs, so I'm agreeing with her on at least one of those things.
Yeah.
I admit kids are not for everyone. But yeah. So what else can we say about her? We could, like I said, we could sit here and just look at her filmography and holy Toledo, all the things she's done.
The first thing I remember her from is the Mary Tyler Moore Show. From my childhood, watching reruns on Nick at Night, and that was definitely in the rotation. So, which Sue Ann Nivens was not an original. Yeah. She was not part of the cast when the show started. She didn't come on. She didn't come in till like year 3 or year 4 or something like that. After, I think it was after Valerie Harper left. And they wanted this. The producers literally said they wanted a Betty White type or Sue Ann Nivens, and they were like, "Well, if we want a Betty White type, let's just hire Betty White."
Seriously, it's like
smart move.
This isn't that hard.
Yeah,
it's not rocket science.
Yeah, because Sue Ann Nivens, she hosted like this, Martha Stewart, would have these days, the Happy Homemaker, and on, when she's in front of the camera doing her show, she's like Umbridge, almost. The minute the cameras aren't rolling, she's a bitch. So yeah, that's what I remember her from, especially the episode where she's trying to make a souffle and she's like, "You gotta be very quiet." Somebody makes a noise and her souffle collapses and she's so upset. Yeah, and then so she did Mary Tyler Moore from 73 until the show ended. And then she got the Betty White Show version number 4 in 1977. 4 different times she's had something called the Betty White Show. And then she had a recurring character on Mama's Family.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that, watching those on reruns.
Yeah. Playing Ellen. Which also Rue McClanahan was on that show too.
Yes. As I think Iola?
I think so.
Or
Something
was
like
Iola
that.
the other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that was a spin-off of the Carol Burnett show.
Yep.
So which she and Carol Burnett and have been friends for a very long time. But yeah, and then right after Mama's Family, we got the Golden Girls. Ran from 1985 to 1992. Which we could almost do just a whole show just about the Golden Girls.
Yes.
Maybe
I think we'll have to add that to our topic.
I was gonna say we'll put a pin in that one and revisit it because
yes,
yeah, that sounds good. Although I think I remember Empty Nest a little bit more than I remember Golden Girls, but I do remember watching Golden Girls because
there was a little bit of a crossover with Golden Girls and Empty Nest. Yeah, I can remember Empty Nest with the Dr.
Yeah, like
and
they
Dreyfus.
did a backdoor pilot for Empty Nest via the Golden Girls.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that gets introduced like whatever season that is, and I like I said, I mainlined. I binged all the Golden Girls like not even 6 months ago. And they get to that, and I was like, this is weird. Like, I understand what they were doing, backdoor pilots, it's a thing. Yeah. But it was still, I was like, this is just weird.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know, it's not, well, I mean, TV nowadays is so different. It's not as much done as it was back then, and it was just kind of like, oh hey, we have this idea, so we're gonna try it and see if it takes off. And some of them just took off like gangbusters, and some of them were one season and it fizzled out. But it all just kind of depended on what the audience picked up on. But yeah, I'm looking at the notable guest stars on Empty Nest. I'm like, oh hey, I remember when Garth Brooks was on the show. Some of these others.
Yep. It's fun to watch the celebrities pop up on Golden Girls.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, they get everyone from Sonny Bono. Some of them are like, obviously stars that are showing up because that's the hit show at the time. And we mentioned this when talking about the Eisner era, when Michael Eisner insisted on Disney getting into television, and one of the first shows that was successful for them as a network was the Golden Girls. So you're gonna have celebrities that want to show up just because they can be like, hey, it helps their image and everything. Sonny Bono's playing himself, or whoever. A lot of times they're playing themselves. Sometimes they're on there as actual characters, like Dick Van Dyke. At one point, he's in an episode where he plays Dorothy's boyfriend. At one point, there's a young George Clooney. Experience as a cop. So
this was long before he was a big deal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
But there he is.
Yeah. So it's fun to play spot the celebrity in the Golden Girls, and you can tell who was like the hot celebrity at the time. But yeah, it's such a good show. It really is. And it's still funny today, and it's aged very well, actually. Yeah, there's a few things here and there,
and issues to cover.
Yeah, there are a few things here and there where, like, some of the harder topics, the way that some of the Dialogue would probably be adjusted a little for modern day, but it's still it's
and also, you know, the this half-hour sitcom format doesn't really lend itself to really giving some of those issues the time and space that it needs, but you know, that it was there at all is kind of is interesting for its time.
It's called Gnerkenflöten cake. It's an ancient recipe, but I Americanized it.
Yeah, so one might say you brought Geflurkenerken into the 80s?
Yes, but I'm not one to blow my own Vertuvenflügen.
I can't even reach mine.
Elderly, retired age women in Miami.
Which they're not even that elderly.
No,
like,
they're really not.
Other than Sophia, they're all supposed to be in like their mid-50s.
Yeah, because I kept looking at it and I'm like, I'm just like, now granted, my mom, you know, she turned 60 last year. I just keep looking at her. I'm like, you do not look like 60, Mom. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying that just to, you know, because in my mind, it's like, Mom, you're still like 40. I'm like, no, I'm almost 40. But I'm like, I just remember, you know, as I was growing up, like the way like they do their hair and the way they dress. And I'm like, that's how my grandmother was into her 80s or, you know, up, when she turned 80. But it was just so, I don't know, it's just so interesting to see like how the fashions and trends change, you know, given like what generation they would have been, you know, being that age in the 80s. So they would have, you know, been through, you know, lived like during the Great Depression and World War II and you know, and all those other things that went on. So it is kind of an unintentional period piece, but it's also, like I said, they remind me of my grandmother, who I love, and who I thought was the, you know, most hilarious person in the world. So it's just interesting what all, like when you go back and revisit these shows and you're like, oh, you know, you kind of start to get it, you know, whereas when you were a kid, you didn't quite pick up on all the on all the things.
Or if you didn't have grandparents that acted like the girls, you at least knew somebody of that age that kind of fit the description.
Exactly. It's just sort of that generation or that I don't know what to call it, even that era. Yeah, we'll say that. Yeah, that's a better word. That era that's just kind of how it was.
I don't think I knew anybody like them. To be honest with you, my grandmother was certainly not like any of those. So I would say Chauncey's grandmother had some Sophia-like moments. So
I, you know, rewatching it, I would say my grandma was probably an interesting blend of Rose and Dorothy, if you can believe it. she was kind of a you know, she was very much the ditz, but then she could also zing you when you were least expecting it, and we're just kind of like, Grandma, and she goes, well, it's true. Oh, and I just like describing her, I'm like, man, I wish you guys could have met her.
Yeah.
It's been very exciting, very, very, very exciting. I've never filmed animals so close, those particular animals that appear in the show. I've never had the opportunity to be face to face with them. Often when you film animals in the wild, obviously they're very far away, and similarly, if you film animals in captivity, often you don't get a chance to come that close to them. But certainly in the lion enclosure, when we were in there, the lion took a disliking to me, the male lion took a big disliking to me, and he was sort of launching himself at, I think, me or the camera, and it was only a little bit of metal grill, like a sort of metal fencing between he and I, and I'm pretty sure he would have eaten my face if he'd had the opportunity to do so. So that was exciting.
It's all right. It's a boy.
Yeah, and Betty didn't even move. It was like it didn't even happen. And I think if you watch the footage, you can probably see me backing off a little bit. But Betty, it was like nothing. I mean, Betty's she's pretty hardcore. She was calming down the line.
Too many people.
She was talking to the line.
Okay, baby.
Which did actually work, and it did hold his attention once I'd backed off a little bit, and once he'd forgotten about me, he then focused on Betty.
That's all right, Papa. We won't let him get you.
She did have a very calming effect on the line, as she does on most people. That was very, very, very exciting and a little bit scary for me. But the line was so close that it spat on me. So the camera lens was covered and yeah.
It's all right, darling. It's all right.
I don't want to do that again anytime soon.
So, yeah, it's a good show. Yeah, we're going to put that on the list of one to cover more extensively at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I could sit down and binge it all, but I think like whenever I need a laugh, I think I'm gonna pop one of those episodes on, or 2 or 3, whatever I have time for.
Yeah, it's
and
definitely
just-
one of those shows where you could like, probably pick one at random and be perfect like it's had. Like there's some continuity, but not really.
It's not like the pilot. It feels like it feels like there should have been a bunch of other episodes like with them all meeting and moving in together. But no, it's just kind of like there they are.
Yeah,
and
they explain how they all got together like towards the end of the first season.
I mean, then and then like Blanche is like gonna get married, and it turns out the guy's already married to like 4 other women because he conned them or whatever. And it's like, oh wow, this is in the pilot.
Yeah.
So, but it just kind of there you are. That's who these ladies are. So enjoy.
So that took her into the early 90s, where she just did again a lot of guest appearances for the most part. So like she made an appearance on Diagnosis Murder. Recognized with Dick Van Dyke.
I'll have to keep my eye out for that one in the reruns because every now and again Mom will watch Diagnosis Murder.
Yeah.
So I'll have to have the record at the ready.
Yeah. Yeah, the Ally McBeal. She did an appearance on that. So she did do some voiceover work in the last 20 years or so. She made some appearances on the Wild Thornberries as Grandma Sophie.
Oh, cool. Neat.
And in the TV movie, King of the Hill. She'd made some guest appearances on that 70s show. So yeah, it was just a lot of jumping around, doing lots of work, until and then she appears as herself on The Simpsons a couple times, as herself on Family Guy, as herself on Ugly Betty. And then she does that run on Boston Legal in the early aughts. She appears as herself on 30 Rock. She did 23 episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful in 2008 through 2008, 2009. But yeah, she did The Proposal, the film in 2009 with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds, where her quote unquote rivalry with Ryan Reynolds began. And then kind of with the Proposal. From there, like she got like another resurgent. Like she hadn't like disappeared and like wasn't working, because obviously she was working. Like I said, her IMDb, there's like no gaps. There's something for every year.
Yeah,
essentially.
but it was kind of like she was sort of not really like semi-retired, if you know if that's.
Oh no, no, she never.
Well,
was
okay.
going. Retirement was not in her.
No.
Well, no, okay.
Her vocabulary.
That's not quite the right term, but maybe she was kind of not doing quite as much as she had been doing.
Well, yeah. I mean, at this point, she's in her 70s, 80s. But she's
Lake Placid is a hoot to watch her in. I might say, you wouldn't expect it, but hey, it's interesting.
So yeah, she does a proposal in 2009, and then she gets this kind of resurgence that lasted up until 3 days ago, where Snickers hires her to do their Super Bowl commercial for the 2010 Super Bowl.
Mike, come on! Mike, what is your deal, man?
Come on, man. You've been riding me all day.
Mike, you're playing like Betty White out there.
That's not what your girlfriend said.
Baby!
Whoa,
Eat a Snickers. Better?
Better.
That hurt. You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
With their new, their new campaign, "You're not you when you're hungry."
Yeah.
And she just like the ad just went viral, and all of a sudden, the people on social media, especially Facebook, it's mostly Facebook, decided that she really, 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 really needed to host Saturday Night Live. So that's what they did essentially for the next 5 months. 4 or 5 months is campaign nonstop to have Betty White host Saturday Night Live, which she eventually would do for Mother's Day, May 8th, 2010, hosting at the age of 88, making her the oldest person to ever host Saturday Night Live. And it's a very good episode too. So she does some very, very funny bits, like the Delicious Dish, the food program on NPR, where she talks about her muffins, and then being the poor person that the Tina Fey census taker has to ask questions to, the old lady in the census taker.
Hello, ma'am. I am a census taker with the U.S. Census Bureau.
Oh, terrific. Good for you. Bye.
Oh, no, wait. Sorry. Hang on. You never returned your 2010 census form, so if I could just ask you a few questions.
Absolutely, dear. Will I need a calculator?
No, ma'am.
Because I have one. But I took the batteries out to use them in a crotch massager.
No, you will not need a calculator. First question, how many people live at this residence?
0.
You don't live here?
Oh, including me? 3.
Okay, well, I'm going to put you down as the primary resident.
Terrific.
Now, how would you describe your race or ethnic origin?
Well, superior to Asians, but not as intelligent as blacks.
Whoops, okay. Let me clarify. Which of the following describes you? White, Asian, Hispanic, Pacific Islander?
Oh, Pacific Islander. Let's try that. And don't skimp on the rum.
Okay. What is your last name, ma'am?
Blarfengar.
Can you spell that for me?
Smith.
And that's pronounced?
Blarfengar.
Not Smith?
They changed it at Ellis Island when I was there 2 weeks ago on a bingo cruise.
Okay, and your first name?
Blarfengar.
And that's spelled?
L-E-E.
So your name is Blarfengar, spelled Lee Smith.
Well, back in school, they had to call me Blarfengar B because there was another girl in the class named Lee Jarvis.
Okay, sure.
And she ended up winning an Emmy for that. And then I don't know if it's necessarily because of that, or you never know with timing with these things, but she hosted SNL May of 2010, and then June, so the next month, is when Hot in Cleveland premiered on TV Land, and she was only supposed to be in the pilot. She proceeded to stay on the show for all 6 seasons.
Because why the hell not?
Yes. Because when you've got Betty White on your show, you do those things.
Yes. And then your show goes on to be amazing for the rest of forever.
Yeah. I mean, she made an appearance on WWE Raw in 2014.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, while she's doing Hot in Cleveland, she also got her own like practical jokers type show, but for it's all old people doing the practical jokes, which my mom thought was hilarious.
Well, of course it would be.
Yeah, Betty White's off their rockers. And she got 3 Emmy nominations for that. I mean, she was still working up until the last couple of years ago.
Yeah,
she,
I mean,
she does a voice in Toy Story 4.
Yeah,
plays Bitey White.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw
it just kind of because she was doing so much, and you just had kind of you'd sit back and think, gosh, she's almost 100, and you just kind of got the feeling that she was just going to keep going, and she was just always going to be here because she just had that energy and that tenacity. It's like that, that quote from Sandra Bullock that you read at the beginning, Rachel, like it's like she makes me feel bad about myself because it's like, I feel like slacking off, and it's like Betty White's still doing her thing, and she's almost 100. And that kind of thing. So it's just like, yeah, she just didn't. She was just not one to sit still and just kind of like, yeah, I did my thing. Now it's time for a break. Which, yeah, she never really had that moment.
Yeah, no. I mean, she was, I mean, obviously with the everything that's been happening the last 2 years, production on everything has essentially slowed down.
Right.
So, but I mean, she was wanting to get like some of her. She had a TV show called The Pet Set that I guess she wanted to have re-released, probably on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. She had her animals. She's been working with she worked with all sorts of like animal charities, but one of her favorites was the Los Angeles Zoo, who she'd been working with since the 70s. And then, she had her own animals at home that she lived with. And, she was doing, she done Alan Alda's podcast a few years ago. She done an interview with People magazine that is supposed to go out on the shelves, I think next Monday, I think is also the January 10th issue of People magazine.
Well,
she's going to be on the cover.
Yeah, well, her last tweet was, "It's on newsstands now." It was like a few days before she died.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, I haven't been to the store to see, but it's probably there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no.
If it's not sold out.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine that one will probably fly off the shelves.
Just because nobody ever slips on a cotton swab in the bathtub does not mean you shouldn't be concerned about its safety. This is a Q-Tips cotton swab. They call it the safe swab. That's because Q-Tips has a nice soft cushion of cotton right here at the tip, so they feel nice and soft and safe when you use them on your eyes or on your nose or on your ear. or even when you drop them on your foot.
Q-tips, the safe swab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they're doing that like
the
celebration documentary that is at which they've said that it's gonna that they're gonna put it out anyway. They might. I imagine they'll do a little retooling, but it's like you definitely should just release it anyway because it and make it a celebration of her life and her accomplishments. So
yeah.
But yeah, one thing, and we kind of mentioned this before we started. What I've loved. I mean, we've had celebrity passings before, and it just we're all like, oh, it's so sad, and we're like, we're gonna miss him, depending on who it is, if it was sudden or if it maybe was a little more expected. But we're always really sad. We talk about it's 10 o'clock news, and this one we are sad. We are. But there have been so many hilarious memes about her passing, especially, with it being the end of 2021. She passed on New Year's Eve, and she's taking this year with her and casting it into the fires of Mordor, or there was the one about the guy with it. He's taking it personally that she didn't make it to 100 to her 100th birthday, and that's all of us. And it's just like, it's just kind of a testament to her and her personality and just the way that she was, that we look at all these jokes, and maybe if it was somebody else, we'd be like, oh, that's in poor taste, don't post that. But with it's Betty White, we're like, oh no, she'd love that. You better, put that up there.
Right.
She'd be the first one to do that, and she'd be laughing. She'd be laughing her butt off.
So we're going to play a little match game right here. I'm going to ask some questions. You fill in the blank, okay?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. The Real Housewives should be called blank.
The neighborhood hookers. Well, is that... Oh, no, but I mean that in a nice way.
All right, here we go. I never go to bed without blank.
My golden retriever.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I mean, I could do worse. And have.
Blank is the only thing I haven't done in Hollywood.
Robert Redford. I've never done Robert Redford. You asked.
If I weren't acting, I'd be blank.
A zookeeper. But I am a zookeeper. I work with the Los Angeles Zoo, and every zoo, wherever I go, I'm an animal nut.
I know.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, here we go. Blank is the one thing I can't live without.
Love. Love. I mean that. Seriously. Yeah. No, I'm not making jokes. I'm a positive thinker, not a negative thinker. And when people don't like each other or there's angst around, I can't make it. So I like everybody to like each other.
I'm a pretty positive person. I have a really positive set.
Oh, you sure?
The game show, my talk show, everybody's happy there at work.
Well, naturally, because we're January 17th.
January 17th. Michelle Obama's January 17th.
Yes. And she's something special.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali was January 17th.
Really? I never fought him. No, I would remember if I had.
God. Okay, this is my favorite one. Steve Harvey is blank.
Dynamite. No, you really are. Because you like people and you work with people. You're not trying to trap them or trick them into dumb questions.
Yeah.
You can't help it that your questions are dumb. I mean, no, you're not trying. Forgive me, I tease, I don't mean to.
No, that's right. But can I hug you?
Oh, please.
I love you. Thank you so much. I think you were absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And I kid you not, that's my prayer. I hope that God lets me live to be as long and as healthy as you are. and to be as sharp as you at 92.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you, dear.
I'm going to do a little bit more cussing, though.
Oh, good.
Yeah, foul words.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm firing them off at a rapid pace. I'm going to be letting them rip.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm going to bend them back.
Okay, great.
Miss White, thank you very much.
Thank you,
I love you.
Pleasure.
And there's one that had a picture of the Grim Reaper with a claw machine. It's like, and he's kind of crying. He's like, I don't want to grab Betty White. And it was just like, oh, I mean, it was sad, but you had to chuckle. It's just like, even Death wanted to see her stay around and take over for him.
Or the one where it's like it's an image from a football game, and the one guy is like reaching with the football for the touchdown, and that one that's like Betty White, the end zone is 100 years, and the guy tackling him is labeled as God. It's like, okay, that one might be a little.
Yeah,
but it's still. I posted it anyway. I still laughed. It's just there's just been a lot of it. And like I have one friend who she was posting just a ton of Betty White memes, and someone came on and was like, this is, it was kind of, giving her grief about it. And she's just like, well, if you don't like it, then you can mute me for 30 days because this is what it's going to be. I'm like, you go, Erin.
Right.
I'm saving that one and I'm going to post that one. And that one might be a little too much for for my regular page. So I'll post it over here instead. And just different things like that. Because they're all, it's just kind of like, it's like, yes, we're sad and yes, we're going to miss her. But at the same time, it kind of feels wrong to just, be so like grieving in the regular way you think of grieving, because she had that spark, she had that cheekiness, that sense of humor, and you didn't really have to she would tell jokes and do all these things and say things, but she didn't have to. It was like just her presence was a delight. Like you see her show up in a show on when she did one of these guest appearances, and you're just like, it's Betty White, and you just love her. There's like you can't help it.
Right.
And, whether it's,
and you didn't exactly know what kind of a character she was going to play until she started talking and playing. It's like, oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah,
let's go.
I mean, she could play an unpleasant person, or she could play the ditz, or she could be just a super smart crack, smart as a whip, like, oh, we're that kind of person. Okay, I like this. It's a little risque, but hey, it's still funny.
Thank you, Doctor. Yes, sir. Doctor and the NBC Orchestra. One of the most publicized movies of the summer season is Tarzan, the Ape Man. Now, this film, like the earlier Tarzan pictures, depicts only the very early relationship between Tarzan and Jane. We wondered what a movie might be like about Tarzan and Jane after they've been together for a number of years.
He didn't fix the ladder. He's late coming home from work. I'll bet that jungle jerk's out swinging with the boys again. Again?
Not Tarzan's fault. Vine controller strike. Tarzan almost had mid-air collision with orangutan. Man, it's a jungle out there.
This place is a mess. You haven't done any of your chores.
Little chore is woman's work. Tarzan only have one chore.
What's that?
Empty hippopotamus litter box.
yourself a provider. Will you look at this dump?
Tarzan good provider. Tarzan get job.
You're completely primitive. You're totally unskilled. You have the manners of a baboon and the IQ of an ape. Where could you possibly get a job?
Tarzan already been accepted at post office. As supervisor.
How do you expect to make anything of yourself when you sit around all day playing with a chimpanzee?
It worked for President Reagan. Where Tarzan's dinner?
I don't have your dinner, banana brain. I'm a person in my own right. I have better things to do. Send out for some pizza.
What their number?
I don't know. Call information.
If the number you need isn't in the phone book, please stay on the line.
If you're that hungry, there's some leftover rhino stew in that pot.
Leftover rhino stew again. Tarzan think this a little too horny.
Tarzan, you're a slob.
Hard to keep food down. Your cooking tastes like zebra puddle.
You said you were going to clean out all this foliage. What is all this stuff anyway?
Which doctor helped Tarzan grow this? It called the Say This Some plant.
Say this some plant?
Say this some bad weed. Tarzan smoked no vine before its time.
Tarzan, you are the most insensitive man I have ever met.
Of course, Tarzan insensitive. Tarzan raised by apes. What do you expect, Rod McEwen?
Quit feeling sorry for yourself, pygmy pants.
You know worst part of being raised by apes?
What?
Breastfeeding. Made Tarzan king of jungle.
Big king you are. That wasn't exactly a royal performance you gave last night, King.
That never happened to Tarzan before.
Are you kidding? Even at your best with you, it's strictly wham, bam, thank you, Buana. Let's face it, you're not much of a man.
Oh, yeah? Quicksand chest? Tarzan, all man.
Then how come when you take a shower under the waterfall, the hyenas all stand around and laugh at you?
Hyenas always laugh.
Yes, but they don't usually point.
Don't talk about Tarzan's body.
She was a rare talent, and I, the fact that her career spanned so long and that she appealed to, not only people of her generation, but to like our generation, whereas, some people might not appeal to the younger crowd, but, even up to, it's a testament to how much she could connect to people, that everybody is just like, how dare you take Betty White? It's like, yeah, we know it, we know that it's going to happen eventually, but we want to pretend it won't.
Yeah,
because it's Betty White. Don't take her. She's our movie grandma, or our funny grandma who says inappropriate things, but everybody laughs because it's her.
Right. The one we'll let have a pass.
Yes. My favorite one, and this isn't even one specifically about her death, is the one where there's the ladies that are the lady that's screaming and pointing at the cat, and but there's a picture of Betty White, and she's saying, okay, she's like, hey, take me on, you ball licker. And the cat goes, I'm sorry, Miss White, your dress was looking very lovely. And I'm like, yes, because she would. I mean, even though she loved animals, and and I'm sure cats are in that, but she would make you laugh, but she would also, you didn't mess with her.
Oh no.
No.
Just kind of, that's who she was, and we loved her for it,
Mm-hmm.
and we still love her for it, just because she isn't here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the fantastic thing is, because she was so prolific, we have so much to enjoy. Yeah, like it's still be watched and consumed. Like I said, yeah, both the Golden Girls and the Mary Tyler Moore Show are on Hulu. So, yeah, you can't go wrong there.
Nope.
So, let's see here. What else where else can you find her that's available? There is a documentary that came out in 2018 on Netflix called Betty White, First Lady of Television.
Ooh, cool.
Both seasons of Betty White's Off Their Rockers are available for purchase on Google Play.
Yeah, and pretty much. I mean, I don't want to say all of them, but a good chunk of her game show appearances, you can find them on YouTube.
Yeah.
So don't miss that.
TV Land and Paramount Plus have Hot in Cleveland, all 6 seasons of that. Hoopla's got 2 seasons of it. So Lake Placid is streaming on several places and for rent pretty much wherever.
Yep. Like you were saying, Boston Legal, it's streaming on IMDb TV, which is nice to see.
Yeah, Life with Elizabeth. There's 1 season available on Prime Video, Roku channel, Tubi, Pluto TV. So that's good.
Cool.
But yeah, you can definitely get your Betty White fix, whichever you have access to.
Yep. And then clips of just her appearances pretty much everywhere. Go on YouTube.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson or whatever.
Yeah, just search Betty White and a whole bunch of things will pop up, and
pick a talk show, pick a game show.
Yep, it's there. So yeah, if you don't have any kind of streaming, but you have YouTube, which you do because you have internet, probably, hopefully.
You're listening to this, you probably have the internet.
Yeah. All I did was search Betty White, and there's a Snickers commercial, there's all her SNL bits, there's video video with Ryan Reynolds, a couple of those Hot in Cleveland, Johnny Carson. There's a bit with Lucille Ball. There's a game show compilation, clips from Golden Girls, her Saint Olaf stories. Just a bunch of different interviews. So yeah, if it's there, it is.
Get your Betty fix, y'all.
Yes, and remember her and laugh and enjoy, because dang, she was they broke the mold when she came into the world.
You're darn tootin'.
And in a world of Karens, be a Betty.
Yes.
I like one guy on TikTok where he's definitely one of those people. It's like, no, she did not, she may be dead, but she did not die. Like she's like, she grabbed 2021 by the ear and said, "Listen to me, you son of a bitch." You know,
I'm taking,
you're going down. I'm taking you.
Yeah, you're going down if I have to go down with you.
I'm making sure you're getting out of here.
Yes.
Yep.
But then he also said he said that going forward in 2022, that if anything good ever happens to you, doesn't matter whether it's big or little, thank Betty, because now she has the ability to watch over all of us.
Yes, she does, and
she is now our guardian angel for all of humanity.
Yes.
Yes. And may she whap us on the head if we get a little out of line.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't mind.
Exactly. She was our honorary grandmother here, and now she can be our honorary grandmother to everybody on the other side, all at once. So bless you, Betty. Thank you for everything.
Yes.
And you keep going on with your bad self. Dear lady.
Yep. Well, and to paraphrase the song from the Golden Girls, she was a friend, and thank you for that friendship.
Exactly. Yep. So
everything.
So a toast to Betty White.
Yes.
Vodka if you got it and you're drinking, and if not, whatever you got on hand.
Water. I'm boring.
Or hot dog.
Anyway. Hot dog. So that's our Betty White send up, and we're grateful to have had her. She was a treasure, and we were lucky.
Yes.
If any of our listeners want to chime in on their thoughts of their favorite Betty White moments, I'm sure. I mean, yes, we didn't go over everything, but if there's one we didn't cover,
I mean, we could sit here for hours if we wanted to dive into. I mean, we could go more into her animal advocacy that she did,
right?
Her other philanthropy stuff she did, even just like the random commercials that I was finding that people were sharing, like on Twitter and TikTok and stuff like that. She had done different, like, everybody thinks, like, when they think Betty White advertises, they think the Snickers commercial from the Super Bowl, which but that was like the bazillionth commercial that she has done in her career. Like, I'm finding commercials from like the 50s where she's doing like Q-tips commercials for Q-tips. She's done everything from Q-tips to Kodak film to Snickers and like everything in between.
So if there's a specific moment that you would like to highlight or would like us to cover, send it in feedback. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com, and you can also go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com, to find links to all our social media and ways to support the show, our merch shop, our Patreon and stuff like that, and they'll leave comments on our Facebook page and whatnot. And we appreciate all your support. Thank you for being here, for listening, for your comments, feedback, support, other whatever it is that you do out there. And
thank you for being our friends.
Yes, thank you for being our friends. And we hope that you consider us
some
your
cheesecake.
Have some cheesecake and have a Snickers.
Yes. Yes.
Have some vodka, have a hot dog, have some cheesecake, have a Snickers. Take your pick.
Yeah.
If you got a pet, give them extra hugs and cuddles for Betty.
Yeah.
If you have the means to do so, I know this is something that's being pushed, and it seems like a lot of her celebrity friends and admirers are getting behind this, but big push on social media, especially on Twitter, on her actual birthday on the 17th. If you have the means, make a donation of whatever you can.
I think
$5 or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of suggestions.
$5 an animal rescue, of some sort.
Yeah, your local animal shelter or animal charity, whatever it is, and we do it in Betty White's name, and it can be as low as a couple bucks. If that's what you've got, that's what you've got. If everybody donates, then
if you got a local one, because my mom volunteers with one of the local animal rescues here. Also, if you don't have the monetary means to give them money, check with them, because also this time of year, it's people like to start over fresh. You may be doing like a house clean out. and check a lot of those rescues can use things like old sheets and towels. They'll reuse those. So
yeah,
those plastic shopping bags. Sometimes they'll use them like my mom takes all of hers because they use them as poop bags.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like last summer, our library did a charity drive for our local animal shelter, the animal shelter in the town where the library is, and they gave us a list of things. It's not just pet food and stuff like that. It's just
they're always in need of I mean, food obviously is a big one, but a lot of times those places are running on pennies, and it's the everyday, the supplies you don't think of that they can't spend the money on.
Yeah, so go ask them, and a lot of them, they will have a list they can hand you. It's like, here, this is what we really need of, and if you have some of that stuff at home, and it's kind of surprising what they ask for. Like you said, like plastic grocery bags. It's like, and then you hear it, and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but you don't think about it until you hear about it.
Right.
So anyway, so go if you can't donate with money, donate time or other resources, and just ask what they need, because those kinds of places are very happy to answer, yes, here's what we need, and that kind of thing. So yay, Betty.
Yes.
Yep. So all right. So hopefully, knock on wood, we'll be back to our usual format next week.
Yes, next week we will be covering Hawkeye.
Yes.
All goes according to plan. So you could also send in feedback about that as well.
Yep. So, and we'll get to the feedback that we have set aside in the news, and we'll do like the book club update, because I know we're in a new month, but we'll do all that next week. So
yes.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yep.
Before we say goodnight, it's time for Betty White's Pearls of Wisdom. Now listen carefully, because this could change your life. Floss every day, eat plenty of fresh fruit, and never, ever text a photo of a body part that dangles. You're welcome.
So with that, for the first time in 2022, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel, Indianapolis, Indiana. And I will leave you with these words from Miss Betty herself. Don't try to be young. Just open your mind. Stay interested in stuff. There's so many things I won't live long enough to find out about, but I'm still curious about them. You know, people who are already saying, I'm going to be 30. Oh, what am I going to do? Well, use that decade. Use them all.
Listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefivishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.